First of all, I'm going to say sorry that I've been away for so long. The main reason is that my daily life just took up all the time, so I didn't have any time left to create tutorials and videos. But don't worry, I will get back to that. I have some awesome new tutorial ideas. The second reason is that, well, I've been working on a huge project with a friend. I can't talk a lot about it because it's kind of secret for now, but don't worry, we are close to the first release, and then I will be sure showing it on YouTube, so don't worry, I will get back to that also. But in the past weeks, I've been trying to recreate a really old idea that I had called Flowgraph. Flowgraph is a visual programming language. It's just a way of making programming really easy, so that people that don't understand programming can kind of understand it, and also just it makes it easier to program and faster to program with it. In some soon editions or new editions that I'm going to make, I'll make so you can actually export it as Java code, so it'll convert all the gates to Java source code. So that's awesome as well. But let me just explain what it is. Well, Flowgraph is really easy. It's a visual programming language, as I said, where you have some different nodes with inputs and outputs and way to process the data. So for instance, here we have a constant number where we can change the number to, for instance, 4, or we can change it to 4 to not 4 but 4.5, and it'll say so. Then we can take its output here that we know is 4.5, and we can put it into an input, for instance in this input display. And the input display just simply tells us what the input is. We can put it in a lot of inputs if we want to, and we can move the gates around. We can even close them, so if some of them takes up space, we can just close it. Then if we change this value, it'll just transfer. You can see it animates. It will transfer all the new data to its outputs that it's connected to. If you see there are some different color wires, then what that means is that the green ones is numbers, the blue ones is booleans, and there's also some red ones, and that's strings. The gray ones, that's objects, so that's can be kinda anything. Numbers only take or number inputs only take numbers. So if you can see, if I drag this output here number, you can see that the blue input up here, the accumulator, just disappeared because I can't connect to that. But the number, of course, can connect to object inputs, because a number can be, or not a number, an object can be anything. But enough of that. So right here we have a timer, and just to remove this reset, you can see that it counts time. We can also say that we want this timer to reset. So what we're going to do is we take the time, for instance, and we set it into a greater than gate. Then if we set B to 4, or we're just going to change it to 2, and we take the output to the output display, we can say it says true because the current time is greater than 2. So if we take the output from the greater than and put it to the accumulator or the timer, then we'll reset each time it reaches 2. So, well, yeah, that's just a basic program right here. We can of course then save it if we want to, and we can clear and load. So just so this isn't going to take up a lot of time, I'm just going to load up some things that I've made. For instance, we have some first graphics where we have an image that just draws a red rectangle, and it's kind of animated because we have some math down here. We can change everything. We can make 4 rectangles, we can make 1,000,000, we can generate them each 2 seconds, so it adds more. We can just make anything, because, well, Flowgraph is just programming made easier to use and understand, but you can still make it as flexible and complex as normal programming. So this is just some graphics where we draw something to an image. And we will continue. I'll just show you some other things. We also have first hut.fg. Well, this is more of a developing thing. So when you're developing the actual gates, and it can be really complex, and you can move around the map and zoom in and out, of course. Then you can, if you need to check a value, and you can of course use an input display, like right here it shows that the time is 18, 19, now 20. But let's say you're working down here and you need to check the time, then you can just add something, a HUD indicator, and it'll just display it. You can see right up here. Just two things displaying, just to test it out, and then I can move around and it'll keep being there unless if I add a group and we go into the group, it will disappear. And you can see we have some awesome animations for that we are going into the group, but I'll be talking more about groups in just a second. So we can just go into the groups now because, well, yeah, they are awesome. So groups are kind of like, well, yeah, they are what they are. So you can compare them to in programming that you have a class, and that's a group. The class has some methods, and the methods is of course inputs and outputs. So that we have right here, we have a random value. We just convert it to a string because this group up here has an awesome input that is a string, so it can only take that. And then you can see the string. We also display it over in the input display, so that's of course just a random value made to a string. Then we can just go into the group, and you can see that here is the first input that says awesome input, and it displays it has its own input display where you can see it in here, and then the only thing it does is that it sends the data out again of the awesome output, and then you can just press tab to back out of it, or we can press back here in the main menu. So, well, yeah, it doesn't do much, but you can make really complex things inside groups. And the awesome thing with groups is that if you've made something really complex inside a group, well, you can save each group individually, and then you can go down here where it says scripts at the bottom of the construction menu, and then it will appear in here your group, so you can just press and it'll add the group to it. So, well, that's awesome. But let's continue. We also have something that I call radios. So, just going to test that out. Multi-receiver. So right here we have three radio send, and we have one radio receive. What a radio does is that it can take 4 objects, and it just transfer all the objects to the same radio receiver that has the same address. So right here, this radio send has an address of 0, and this one have an address of 1, and the last one 2. And right here we have a timer that connects to a greater than. When each time it's get reset, then it will count, and it counts all the way up to 2, and then it go back to 0, and the current counted value gets converted to a string. So, and that's going to be the address. So you can see that it kind of shows us. It shows us the input. So, well, yeah, that's just awesome. We can just clear this, and we can load up some else. Okay. If some of them don't work, then don't worry, it's just me that changes some of the load configurations in the program. I have a key counter right here, and yeah, we have a wired key, and the wired key, just when you hold the current key that is added to it, then it'll just say true, and when you release it again, it'll say false. So right here you can see that we have a timer that resets always, because, well, if a, that is the time, is greater than 0, then reset, and the time is always greater than 0. So if I hold down A, then you can see it will begin to count extremely fast. And then again I can press R, because we can see it right here. We have a wired key, and it connects to the reset, so guess what it's going to do? Reset the value. And just to demonstrate some more keys, then I've just made what I call a mono-stable key. I think it's, no, a button. And what you can see here is that we have a white key over here, and I've just connected to over here. We can see that right now it's going to say true because I'm holding down A, and if I release it again it'll say false. But if you just reconnect what actually was connected, then a monostable key a button is where I hold A, and then you can see it'll automatically, I'm still holding A right now, but it's just, it automatically goes back to false. So for instance, if you have a timer that's getting reset when you press A, but you don't want it to be keeping being reset, then you can kind of say that it'll automatically just switch back to saying false, even though you are holding the actual button. What do I have more? Oh, I have dynamic light. It's really basic. It's not like my dynamic light program yet, but it will be when I'm done. Right here we have what is like, or not much, but it should be like my dynamic light program. When you press A, it'll kind of render this light, and you can see that it kind of more shines in the middle than the outside. And well, yeah, that's the only thing it does. So right here we have some, we can also clear it by pressing C, but we have some loops that change the X and Y values, and down here the X and Y values get processed to calculate the actual pixel value so that it gets that kind of lighting effect. What do I more have? I don't know. We can try. Well, the radio, this was the first one that I made with the radio, so it's just an easy way of demonstrating. Oh, god damn it. Here we have a radio received with the address 1234, and you can see that I receives the 10826, and down here we have a receiver also, and it receives the same. And here we have a radio send, and it sends on the same address. But you can, if you just change the A value to 4, then you can see that it actually changes to 4 up here. And the same with this one. We have a radio send that sends 0123 and with another address, and it receives it over here with the same radio with the same address. So, well, yeah, awesome. But well, there's a lot more that you can do. We have trigonometry, where we have cos and tan, and we have time, we have memory gates, counters, flip-flops, comparison, bitwise, not and, or gates. We have a lot of arithmetic gates, from adding to subtracting to, we have pi, we have power, negate, absolute, module, floor, maximum. Well, we have a lot of gates. We have a lot of, there are arrays, we have converters, we have display, render, IO gates, and well, yeah, a lot of more gates. And I'm not even done with adding gates. This is only, I think, 10% of the actual the done amount of gates. But yeah, I'm going to get back with this very soon when I'm adding more gates. But well, damn, this video got long. But please tell me what you think of flow graph, and if it's an awesome concept. Well, it's really easy to use and understand. So I think it's an awesome concept. I've been checking the program on some people that don't really understand programming, but they seem to understand this, even though that it's actually the same. But this is just an easier way of using programming. So well, it is easier. I've tested it. But yeah. Oh, and tell me what you think. And whoa, this video got long. And again, sorry that I've been away for so long. And yeah, well, I just have nothing else to say than goodbye.